Fine, Addie.
Dive into the content, I want to just give a little overview of NSHSS. We are an academic honor society for high achieving high school students, member-based organization that was founded by Mr. Klaus Nobel in 2002. And he was a member of the family that established the Nobel Prizes. And now we have 1.7 million members around the world, and offer with our partners more than $2 million in scholarship awards annually, as well as working with our partners and our team here to provide an array of webinars and in-person events and leadership opportunities where you can really make a difference in your community. In addition to the scholarships and webinars, we also have partners that offer internship opportunities, study abroad, and exposure to a host of services and organizations that will support you on that journey from high school to college to career. A bit about this presentation, we're going to cover the basics, how to plan your strategy, tips for making applications stand out, and look at some of the myths about scholarships, and then tell you a little bit more about NSHSS scholarship specifics. On a very basic level, there are loans, grants, and scholarships, and you should know kind of the difference between those. The loans are the ones that you have to pay back, and you'll fill out your FAFSA, which is available every year on October 1st. And it's really important to fill the FAFSA out because a lot of colleges and universities will use that data to award their institutional scholarships and grants. So make sure you fill out your FAFSA. The federal government will tell you what federal loans your family is eligible for. And then other loans are private loans that you can get. But again, those are the ones you have to pay back. A grant, you don't have to pay back grants. Those are great. And a lot of colleges and universities will look at your award package or your acceptance package and put together college issued grants as part of that package. And the federal government also has grants for need-based students. And then the scholarships, which is the meat of this presentation, don't have to pay scholarships back. They can either be need or merit-based. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, but there are lots and lots of local scholarships that you can look for in your own community. And then some of the ones that are national and bigger, the ones that NSHSS award are national. And then in terms of the sort of the timeline of when you should apply for scholarships, soon. The sooner the better. And you know, the biggest mistake that we see is students just not applying or not finishing their applications, not submitting them. The only way you're going to earn those dollars is to submit your applications. We at NSHSS award scholarships to students as young as freshman year of high school. And if a freshman, sophomore, or junior earns the scholarship, we hold that money until you enroll in your college and university, so that when we issue checks, we send them directly to the school, not to the student, as a rule. Kind of big picture also, at the end of your junior year, if you haven't started, definitely start building your plan, make or update your resume, and start drafting the essays for your scholarships, as well as your applications for college. And then in the fall of your senior year, again, that's when the FAFSA is due, and you'll find a lot of scholarship opportunities. We're going to open up that January, by January of your senior year, and close in time for you to receive those scholarships for your freshman year. Joya is going to talk a little bit about some meat and potatoes.
Alrighty, you all. So one of the biggest parts of our scholarships is your essay. And so I'm going to just go over some of the really important aspects of how to format and write a really strong essay. So the first step, and it seems a little bit obvious, but it is not, follow the directions. It's really important that when a scholarship is very specific about the terms. So for example, if it says 500 words, that you get as close to 500 words as possible. I don't think that people are going to be sticklers, if you are at 502 or if you're at 495, but you don't want to just write, like 500 more words than that, so that you could get a, like brownie points. You want to show the scholarship committee that you know how to follow directions, that you respect the boundaries that they've created for the scholarship. The next thing is stick to the topic. We noted here, don't try to force an essay you have previously written into a topic that doesn't match. And this is actually a really good skill, even as you go into college. Some of you may go into a master's or a PhD program, and these things are kind of setting you up for those types of programs as well. You don't want to write something for one particular prompt and then try to use it for another. You want to try to be as particular with each one of your essays as possible. Now, you may write something similar, But the point is to make sure that you are addressing what is being asked of that particular essay. And then be specific. So as someone who reads scholarships all the time, I'm really impressed with the scholarships that are not general. They're very specific about your passion. They're very specific about things that you've actually done, awards you've won, things that have been said to you, or if you've got media coverage or any of those things, because it lets us know that you are actually passionate about what we're asking about, or you have experience, and those things kind of vary depending on the type of scholarship you are applying for. But the more specific you can be, the more detailed you can be, the stronger your essay will be. So the next thing, quality over quantity. So some essays ask you to provide specifics about your experiences or things that support the idea that you should receive a scholarship. And so you want to really talk about the things that you've invested time in, and not talk about like a club that you've been a part of for 10 years and you've only gone to 2 meetings. Like, you want to be very specific. And we see that. So if we're looking at a resume, and we see that you've been a part of this organization, you've been there for 10 years, but you've done all of these different activities with them, it shows consistency. And once again, it shows you that word I keep saying, your passion. So you want to make sure that you highlight things that are specific to that scholarship, that really speak to your involvement, and the reason why you should get the scholarship. The next thing is just about the quality of what's written. So one of the things we suggest is that when you get your scholarship, when you get your essay, that you actually read it aloud. You probably have heard that many times you write something, and then when you read it or you try to proofread it, you read what you think you wrote and not what you actually wrote. And so when you read your essay aloud, you will find a lot of those grammatical errors, or you may realize I need to place a comma here, or this sentence doesn't make sense. It may actually help you in terms of editing as well. So you may be able to, once you hear it, you can delete some of the things that you may have said already. Another really important aspect of that when you're talking about the quality of your essay is that you have other people read it. So you may ask a parent or guardian, guardian, if there's someone who's really good with writing, also maybe a peer who's really good with writing, someone who's in college already who's good, maybe even an educator or a counselor, someone who will view these essays all the time and can give you some perspective on whether you've answered the question as well as the grammar. So when writing your scholarship essay, you want to realize that a lot of times these scholarships, people are turning in, we'll see hundreds of different scholarships or applications for these scholarships. And you want to be able to stand out. So you don't necessarily want like a shock factor, that is too far. But if you grab your reader's attention, I think that's really important. That's another thing when we talk about being detailed, also being concise. So if we ask for 500 words, we want you to just kind of, really give us the answer to that question in a short manner, but be direct and be specific. But also think about, creative ways that you can write your essay so that, it can be, entertaining, or at least if it's not entertaining, it can draw us into your story. Okay, so let's go over some of the do's. So do find an educator with whom you can discuss your extracurricular activities, college aspirations, or other classes. I would even say find someone that you've already established a relationship with, that you don't even necessarily have to like discuss it, when it's time for scholarships, but that throughout, your high school career, you found a mentor or someone who you've been able to establish rapport with, who knows you, who's seen you journey through high school as you begin to write some of these essays. So for many of our scholarships, we ask for a recommendation. So this says, provide your recommender with all the information they will need to prepare and submit your recommendation. That's a really critical aspect of your scholarship, making sure that you talk to your recommenders early, that you give them, exactly what you would need from them. And I would even say, give them a deadline that is maybe 2 weeks before your actual scholarship is due. That way, if for some reason they can't do it, you may have an opportunity to get someone else, or they don't, you both forget, and then at the end, they're trying to scramble and do it. So maybe set yourself up for success as well as the recommender by asking for those recommendations to be completed a couple weeks before the actual scholarships due. So read the application requirements carefully. An application may have a limit of one recommendation and may have, one a recommendation or a request for multiple. So just being very clear about what is required. I've even written down that maybe on a separate sheet of paper, you go through your scholarships that you're applying for and write down exactly what it's asking of you, and then check it off as you complete those portions of the scholarship. So that'll just be, you'll have it specifically with us on our dashboard, but then also you could have it on a separate sheet of paper. Make sure that you give your educator friendly reminders weeks before your scholarship deadline. Like I just mentioned, if you set them up for success and ask for it to be done a couple weeks before it's due, a month before it's due, you'll set you both up for success in terms of completing those scholarships. And then just make sure to show gratitude. Educators, counselors, all these folks who are in your community are probably really busy. And so for them to take the time out to help you and write down these awesome recommendations is they don't have to do that. So just, writing them a note means the world to a lot of people. Handwritten notes, beautiful. And then just make sure that you maintain communication with those folks so that you're on the same page in terms of getting those completed.
Right. And then also, I guess we can't really stress enough how important these letters of recommendation are. Sometimes when applications, it's really tough for the review committee to make a decision, it will come down to the recommender's words about you.
Yeah.
And so take them really seriously. I think also, it's fine if you have a guidance counselor recommendation and that's what you're going to submit. But if you're applying for a STEM scholarship, it may serve you better to have someone in your robotics class write that recommendation, or if you're applying for a creative arts related scholarship, have your dance teacher or someone related to that activity write the letter, because they may be able to speak to your skills for that specific scholarship better.
So let's cover some of the don'ts. I've kind of already said this, but please don't ask for a recommendation at the last minute. It doesn't set you up for success or your recommender, because you want to give them time to kind of think through what they're going to say. You don't want them to just kind of throw something together, especially if you end up being one of the top applicants. You want that recommendation letter to be what seals the deal for you. Don't list any or list someone as a recommender or reference without their knowledge. So it's literally as simple as, may I list you as a reference or recommender, and that's also something that will go with you throughout your life. You don't want to put someone down and they have no knowledge of the expectation, and you want someone who's going to agree to do it, someone who's willing and excited to do it for you. So make sure that you have that conversation. Don't skip on the information they need to prepare and submit the recommendation. So I think when you are approaching your recommender or your reference, you want to let them know. So you want to do your homework as a student, so that when you ask them, you're able to tell them what you would need from them and by when. that's really important. And then also just don't take it personally. An educator or someone isn't able or willing to do a recommendation for you, because like I said, you want someone who's going to have the time and really be excited about writing for you or writing that letter of recommendation for you. So if they don't, just look at it as an opportunity to find someone else who will or has the time, who's excited to help you out.
So another key component of a lot of scholarship applications is a resume. For scholarship applications, you can submit a resume that's more your academic resume versus one that you might use for applying for a job. So an academic resume is absolutely the place where you want to list the awards you've won, your extracurricular activities, your volunteer hours. You can put references and anything that shows off your academic strengths. Those are things we look for when we're looking at resumes. Also, it's really important to have your job experience as well, because that shows, more of who you are and what you've accomplished, and the consistency of holding a job. So there's a lot that we can read into a resume, but sort of knowing how a scholarship resume might differ slightly from a job application resume is good. One of our NSHSS leaders, Grayson, he was the Collegiate Council Executive Vice President and won one of our international travel abroad scholarships years ago. I love his quote, "We're all the sum of our experiences." And he has written up some tips in a blog that's on our website that has lots of great advice. So I encourage you to check out what Grayson has to say. We have a few other, we have many other blogs on our website, articles with tips and tricks about scholarships, about applying for colleges, about doing your college tours. So check out our blog.
Okay, so I'm gonna reiterate a few things, but what makes the scholarship application stand out? So like I said earlier, you want to read the instructions and be very, very sure about what is being asked of you, and to follow what's being asked. Sometimes you can write a beautiful essay, but if it doesn't answer the question, or if it doesn't kind of honor what's being asked, then it's just a nice essay. So you want to make sure that you stay on target and stay on topic when it comes to the instructions of a scholarship. This next one is really, really important to me. So be authentic. As we're reading essays, we actually get to have a glimpse into who you are, what you love, what you do, maybe family and friends, depending on what you're writing about. And so you want to make sure that you are being truthful with yourself about your experiences. And when I say truthful, I mean like if you had an experience and you're describing it, it actually comes through in the way that you write your essay. There are plenty of times where I've read essays and I've been like moved to tears. There's been times I've read essays and I've literally laughed out loud because of some kind of comedic, thing that was mentioned, and comedy is not necessarily like super appropriate all the time, but there's like a really nuanced way that you can just show us a bit of your personality. Yeah, and it makes us, it draws us in. And so if you're, a super serious person and you're really passionate about things, then be super serious and be passionate, because it's who you really are. If you're, a lighter spirit, just make sure you're answering the question and that you're being serious about, your work. But we want to see who you really, really are. I think that that's just kind of a human thing. We connect to authentic expressions of your answers to the questions.
Yeah, Joya, one of our colleagues from another scholarship provider likes to say, if I spread out all of the applications and picked one up, I should be able to, if I know you, I should be able to tell that that's your scholarship application because it's filled with authentic storytelling details that only you could have written.
Yeah. And I think that goes along with the next point. You want to, be thorough. So you're thorough as you are writing the essay portion, but then you also want to be very, very thorough. We keep saying the same things over and over because it's really important. Be thorough in the different stages of your applications and make sure that you are, checking these things off. I would even say give yourself deadlines for each part of your application so that you make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. It does not hurt to, as you are initially reading the application, and this is coming from someone who has had to learn the difference between the time to skim and the time to pay attention to detail. So I'm speaking from experience when I say this. Really, it doesn't hurt, as you're reading something closely, that you do it several times so that you make sure that you don't get to the end of your application and realize that you missed something. So that's a really, really important aspect of it. The next point says optional is not optional. So yes, it is optional. So we don't want you to think we're tricking you, but you think about the fact that when you're doing a scholarship, you're putting together a packet and you're saying, here are all these things, here are all these reasons as to why I should be chosen for this particular award. And so when we make something optional, I think it's recognizing that everybody, may not have, a bunch of pictures or videos or whatever, but if you do have it, it is a beautiful way to just kind of really drive home your point. And so if it's something that you do possess, if it's being asked of you, I would definitely say go ahead and submit that piece of the application. Pay attention to deadlines, like I mentioned earlier. I think it's important to just kind of write out the deadlines for each aspect of your scholarship so that you keep yourself on track. You want to get to know your recommenders well. That's something we mentioned earlier. Create those relationships early on and really create an authentic relationship with teachers and educators and counselors that you just click with. I can think back to high school and name the teachers and the counselors who changed my life, who were very impactful. And it's from just years of getting to know them and then getting to know me. And then, leave a lasting impression. And I think if you follow all of the things that we just mentioned about the different aspects of the scholarship application, then you will leave a lasting impression.
So what are some of the myths out there? Some of you may be thinking, my grades aren't good enough. I don't have any chance of winning a scholarship. But there are scholarships out there for every type of student, and not every scholarship is merit-based, meaning you don't have to be #1 in your class to earn the scholarship. It could be looking more for your talents. But there are some really oddball scholarships out there for left-handed people, for tall people. I mean, just do your research and you'll find something that seems like a good fit. You have to be in high school to earn a scholarship. Also not true. Many of our scholarships are also available for currently enrolled college students. So even after you graduate high school and go on to college, be sure to check out, make sure you are still getting our emails. Our members get a monthly scholarship newsletter talking about what's opening soon, what the deadlines are for scholarships, and celebrating some of our winners. So, and then we also have some opportunities for people beyond college. Once you've passed that bridge. Then also, this one's a tough one. I know when you submit an application, you want to find out right away if you're a winner. As Joya mentioned, we in our committee, our scholarship reading committee, have hundreds, thousands of scholarships that we read. processing. And so it can take us, 6 to 8 weeks from the application close date for us to review and evaluate and select the recipients. So try to be patient with us, but we will communicate with every applicant, whether you've won or not.
Okay, so as Karen was just mentioning, there's so many different types of scholarships out there, and I think that's something that we have intentionally done here with our scholarship programs. They're very, very diverse, and so we just have a list of some of the different types of scholarships that we have available. So, for those who are, really focused on academics, we do have scholarships for academic excellence. If you are interested in entrepreneurship, leadership, literature, medicine, arts, this says visual arts, but we actually have for with dance and music and all those good things. And so please go to our website so that you can see all the different scholarship opportunities that we have. Here are just a few more of those scholarships. I love your first scholarship. Maybe Karen can tell you a little bit about that, but we've intentionally even been mindful of folks who may be getting started early and are, not juniors or seniors, and you can apply at that time. But if you're trying to figure out how to get it done, this is a great way for you to, kind of get into those waters and complete an actual scholarship application so that you're prepared to apply for others.
Right. So the Your First Scholarship walks you through every single step of that scholarship application process. So in the process of applying for that one, you'll kind of build up your toolkit of materials that you'll need, and it will make applying for the next scholarship so much easier. So that's a great one if you've never won a scholarship, if you've never applied for a scholarship, it's a really great one to start with. So we have a whole lot of resources available on our website. Definitely check out the scholarships web page, nshss.org/scholarships. That page will always have the most up-to-date information about what scholarships we have open, when they're closing, things that will open up soon, and often you'll also see the ones that have already closed. And chances are, if you've missed the boat on something that seems super relevant to you, we usually will be offering it next year as well. So you can check back to see, if you can make the deadline the next time. I mentioned our blog. In addition to Grayson's blog article, there's also scholarship tips from scholarship recipients. That's from 3 other scholarship winners. It's full of great tips. We mentioned our newsletters. When you join NSHSS and give us your email address, you want to just make sure we always have the most up to date so that you're getting the information about the scholarships that we offer. In terms of where else beyond NSHSS you can look for scholarships, put in the word scholarship and your talent or your special interest and see what you come up with. That's a really good way to find good fit scholarship opportunities on Google. And then there's FastWeb, there's CapEx, there are other search engines. And I would just say, if you're wondering whether it's a reputable source, the National Scholarship Providers Association is an association of scholarship providers. So any organization that's a member of NSPA, like NSHSS is, will be a reputable source. And then I just want to shout out to some of our partners who are offering their own scholarships that we may not be managing, but they're great places. Scholarship America is a great website to check out. And then You'll see on our site, Smart Track, Abercrombie and Fitch, United Planet, Outward Bound Costa Rica, US Army, I think we have a Navy, US Navy one now, the CIA, all offer scholarships, leadership opportunities, study abroad. They're great opportunities to check out. So this is just a handful of NSHSS scholarship winners. We want to see each and every one of your faces on our website to celebrate your great accomplishments. We even have a Tell Us Something Good form if you want to just share something that you're proud of, and our social media team will give you a shout out. But anyway, we love celebrating our wonderful scholars and our scholarship winners. And that pretty much wraps it up. You can, if you have questions, you can email scholarships@nshss.org. And we will take some questions and answers now. If you've got things that we missed.
Will now be recorded.
Hi, so yeah, we're going to take some questions. A few have come through during the presentation. I know we've been trying to answer them as they came in, but there are a few that we'll try to address now, and keep them coming. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can. One question we've gotten a few times is, do you need to be an NSHSS member to apply for a scholarship, for one of our scholarships? And I would say most of the NSHSS, the scholarships on our website are open to anyone. There's different eligibility for each program, but for the most part, you do not need to be a member to apply for our scholarships. There are some of our partners offer scholarships and they want to only award NSHSS members. And then we have some leadership scholarships specific to our member leaders. But otherwise, go ahead and apply. You don't need to be a member to earn one of our awards. We also saw several questions about FAFSA come through. I tried to answer them as they were coming in, but it might be helpful to just reiterate the FAFSA opens on October 1st. And if you are planning to be in college next year, the 2022-2023 academic year, you should fill out the FAFSA. Even if you don't think you are going to qualify for financial aid, you should still fill it out. Because a lot of colleges use that information to base their packages when they accept you. So, and then I'm trying to think, there was another FAFSA question. It'll come to me. Joya, were there any that came across that you want to address?
Sure. So the one that I highlighted asked, what information should you ask to be included in a letter of recommendation? I think this is a really important question to answer, because with our scholarships, a lot of them are very specific. And so you want to ask your recommenders to write a very specific letter of recommendation as to why you should qualify for this particular scholarship. There are times where your recommender may have also written you a letter of recommendation for college. And that a lot of times will tell us maybe that you're a great leader or give us general information. But you want to try to ask your recommenders to write something that's very specific when you are applying to scholarships that are very specific, so that it really does help us to see that you are qualified. And usually recommenders write very specific things that they've done with you or they've seen you do. And so it really just helps for them to be as specific as possible.
Right. I also, jumping back to the FAFSA question, we had a partner give a webinar, I think it was in the last couple of days, FAFSA Assist. They have lots and lots of information and support for filling out the FAFSA. And the webinar, it's filled with great advice. It will be, if it's not already, posted on our website under past webinars, under events. We have webinars every week from partners who are experts in this field and helping you all get from high school to college to career. Lots and lots of valuable information. So be sure to tune in. Let's see. Here's one. If a scholarship deadline has passed, can you prepare the app for next year in advance? Great question. I don't think I've ever seen this question, but it's a really good one. If the deadline's passed, sorry, you've missed it, but it's a great idea to prepare, to look at that application, look at what it's asking for, and start to prepare yourself for when it opens next year. We can't guarantee that every single scholarship application that we have this year is going to be open or the same next year, but most of them are repeats from year to year. So, and I think with other scholarship providers, it's similar, that if you see it one year, if they've got the funding, it'll be there next year, and maybe with some slight tweaks. But if you're preparing in advance, you've got, an edge over somebody who's filling it out at the last minute and hasn't been working on it for a whole year. So great idea. Love it. Let's see. So people are looking for the last slide for our contact information. Just a reminder that this presentation is being recorded and will be posted on our website, so you can watch it again. We are available at scholarships@nshss.org, so you can email us there. And then also, I think we can put our member services contact information in the chat, chat box, so that if you have any other questions about NSHSS or our scholarships, you can reach out that way. Let's see. I'm a high school sophomore. Am I eligible for scholarships to community college? So every scholarship application, you just need to look at the eligibility criteria. Joya, our community college and trade school scholarship, I believe, is that open to, we have to check the eligibility. I think it's open to high school seniors and college, anyone in college. Many of our scholarships, though, are available to anybody in high school, to all high school years, and can be applied. If you earn that scholarship, it can be applied to your community college tuition. It's probably worth reiterating that if you earn an NSHSS scholarship, it can be applied to any accredited college or university, trade school, or community college. Let's see. I'll let you answer this one, Joya. When looking through scholarship applications, do you go through every single one, or do you find the scholarships that are rewarded to the first great responses you read?
That's a good question. So one of the reasons that it takes 6 to 8 weeks for us to award scholarships is because we go through every single application. And sometimes we go through them more than once. If we are going through the different stages, like for example, if we have 500 scholarships, or 500, I'm sorry, applications for a scholarship, and we go through the first 100, and there 25 of them are outstanding, but we're only awarding 5. So yes, we do go through every single application. Oftentimes we go through it. We'll see your application more than once, so that we can make sure that we are giving everyone a fair chance.
Sort of related to that is, can you win multiple scholarships if they're from different programs? For example, would I be able to get a scholarship from NSHSS and from one of its partners in the same year? And I would say any of the scholarships that we administer, we do our best, and it's kind of our best practice to only award one to a student per year. But some of our partner opportunities actually link to their site, and they collect the application material and vet the applications themselves. And in that case, sure, you could win that one and one of ours as well. Are there a good number of full ride scholarships? I see a lot of full tuition scholarships. NSHSS does not offer full ride scholarships. We do have some that are renewable from year to year. So if you earn the award, you can receive that amount for your 4 years of college, but it's not a full ride. It's just a fixed amount. There are several through the US Army, I think the Navy, possibly the Marines, and also I believe the CIA, who do offer full ride scholarships. And all of those opportunities are available. You can find out more about them on our website.
Okay, so we have one that says, are all scholarship deadlines varying between the school individually, or a universal rule of when the scholarship deadline is? So it just depends on the school as well as the organization that's offering scholarships. A lot of times schools kind of operate either on a quarterly basis or a semester basis. And so they may have particular deadlines that complement like when you actually begin their programs. But for us, we have scholarships that open and close throughout the entire year. So you want to just make sure that you stay on our website and that you know when the scholarships that you're interested in on our website open and close, because we don't go by a semester rule necessarily. We actually have opportunities throughout the entire year.
We get this question a lot, and I've heard many scholarship providers offer the same advice, which is, the question is, are all scholarship deadline? Oh, no. Sorry. Is it better to go for local scholarships or scholarships that are bigger, like the national or statewide ones? I think it's a really good idea to look at your local opportunities. You're gonna have a smaller pool of competitors, and because it's local, those local businesses, or the Rotary Club or whatever it is, the churches that are offering awards, they may know you, they may know your family, they may, have an affinity for the school you go to, or some of the qualifications that are in your resume, you may resonate with them. So you may have a better chance at winning some of those local scholarships. And then the other thing we like to say is that, even a local or a national scholarship that's only $500 or $1,000 might be less competitive than the ones that are for $20,000. And, so if it's less competitive, you have a better chance of earning it. And those small awards, when you stack them, it can really make a significant contribution towards your college tuition. So go for them all, obviously, but maybe spend some initial energy and time on the local awards and the smaller ones that are just really good fits for you.
I think I saw one that asked the question, what are some information materials that is needed to apply for a scholarship? So it's a lot of what we mentioned earlier in terms of resumes, and a lot of times there'll be an essay, but the best way really to know is for you to take a look at the scholarship, because each one is different and it's going to ask for different materials. So you may have that base of like a resume and an essay, but some may ask for pictures or videos. So it's best to just look at the ones that you're interested in and write down the specific materials that it's asking for.
This person is asking between the SAT and the ACT score and GPA, which one is more important, a more important criteria for scholarship committees? I'll put in my 2 cents, Joya, but maybe you can chime in as well. We look at academic rigor and excellence. We look for academic excellence for sure, but the thing that really makes the difference is your essay and your letter of recommendation. What we may have 2 students who are academically very similar. What's going to make or break their application, what's going to be the winner is the one that really has an impactful story in their essay and a recommender who can really speak to your strengths and to the reasons why you deserve this particular scholarship. You have anything to add on to that, Joya?
Not really. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there. So no, tell us your story. And I think we said that in the webinar. Tell us your story. And I think that's really what will set you apart.
Yeah,
I can take one. So the question is, how many applicants for each scholarship? So there's no way to know. We take as many applications, as we can. We don't have a limit. So there may be, a program or a scholarship where we get 50 applications. We may have one where we get 500. We may have one where we get 1,000. So there's no answer to that question because it varies based on people's interests.
Oh, this is a tough one. Do scholarships interfere with financial aid? So there's something called scholarship displacement, and it's at some schools where if you've got a financial aid package and you earn an outside scholarship, that money comes in and your financial aid package gets decreased in the amount that your outside scholarship is. So it's not that it interferes, it's just that there's this issue of a scholarship displacing the financial aid that you've gotten or replacing it. The industry is trying to solve that so that it doesn't end up penalizing students who've worked really hard to earn an outside scholarship, and then just to find that their financial aid is reduced because that money came in. So I recommend that you research this with the school that you're interested in or the school that you're enrolled in, talk to your financial aid representatives at that school so that you understand it, and then strategize around whatever their rules are. Let's see, we are a few minutes away from the hour. We can take a few more questions. Can you give us some valid scholarship sites? We mentioned a few. Obviously, the NSHSS website is a great website to start with. Then, there's FAFSA, FastWeb and CapEx. We mentioned Scholarship America. And yeah, I think there's, Niche, I think, has scholarships on their website. So Google, Google, we mentioned that. Google the special interest you have in the word scholarship and see what comes up. Hopefully some of ours will. Let's see. I think do you have to repay financial aid? So if you receive a loan, either from the federal government or a private source, that does need to be repaid. The loans that are part of a financial aid package have to be repaid. If you receive a grant or a scholarship, that part of a financial aid package does not have to be repaid. When should my juniors start applying for scholarships? Joya?
They should apply right now. We have so many scholarships available, like we were mentioning earlier, for folks all throughout high school. So I'm sure we have some scholarships on our website that they could be eligible for. So this is a great time to start that process and go ahead and start getting some of those funds under your belt before your senior year.
Yeah, and in case you missed it, if a high school student who's a freshman or sophomore or junior earns a scholarship, and even a senior earns a scholarship and have not enrolled, are not yet enrolled in college, we hold that money until you enroll in college. So even if you're a senior and you earn a scholarship and decide to take a gap year, you can ask us to hold that award until you're enrolled. And as soon as you're enrolled, all you have to do is give us that information of the financial aid office at the school, and that's when we can issue the funds. We love that part of our job. Let's see. Done. What are some important and helpful clubs to join? For somebody who's interested in humanities and politics. I mean, I think that's the key. The clubs that a student should join should align with his or her interests. So if you're interested in humanities and politics, look for the clubs that have are in some way related to that. I'm trying to think of some specific clubs that might align with those interests. Poetry writing, I don't know. Joya, what are some clubs?
I was trying to think, I know every school is different. And so I think that's another way that you really can use Google and see if there are some national organizations that you can join as a high schooler and get some of that experience under your belt as well. So I would check with your guidance counselor and see if they know of any clubs that you can join that may be local or even in your school. It doesn't really matter the title of the club. It really just matters the level of interest that you have and how much time and energy you devote to that work, because those are the types of things that you'll put on your resume, so that folks will know, be able to see some of those passions you have.
Yeah, we have in the chat, debate club, model UN. Those are some good ones. Okay. Let's see. If a sophomore applied for a scholarship and got it, can she apply again in junior and senior year? Absolutely. Sure. Oh, also on the clubs, FBLA, DECA, Beta are a few clubs that we see often on applications, and are great clubs to look for at your school. We have a partnership with DECA right now. And if you're a member of DECA, there's a scholarship that's open, and also a scholarship for your DECA chapter advisor, a grant for the DECA chapter advisor. Can your major and what scholarships you apply for conflict? I'm going to be a bio major, but I'm also not sure if I'll stay there, and I don't know if scholarships are that specific. Joya, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so it does depend on the scholarship. So if they are just asking about your current interest and things that you've done when you're in high school, if bio has been something that you focused on, then apply for that scholarship. If it's something that's, asking for continued investment, in it, then it may not necessarily be the one for you. So I think it just kind of goes back to what we're saying, when you're reading those scholarships and you're preparing to apply, really look at, what they're asking of you, and don't count yourself out, but, just see what they're asking. And if it applies to you, then go for it. Or even if it may seem that it's a little bit off, but you have, most of what they're asking you for, hey, go for it. It doesn't hurt for you to try for those scholarships, especially if it's something that you're passionate in, even if that may change in the future.
We're getting the 2-minute warning. Let's see, we can take one more question and then sign off for the evening. Let's see. I don't see another question. Anybody have any other questions? Now's your time. Now's your chance. Let's see, can you apply with test scores? Oh, can you apply with test scores is a question. We do not use just test scores for our scholarship applications. If you're talking about NSHSS membership, there are 7 or 8 different criteria, and as long as you meet one of them, you're welcome to apply for membership. And test scores is one of those criteria. So you can go to the website if you're interested in being a member, and if you meet the test score qualification, then we'd love to have you as a member. Great. I think that about wraps it up. We did well on our time, and hopefully we answered everybody's questions. If we missed you, I apologize. Please email us and we can try to respond to any additional questions that way. And the recording will be on the website very soon. Thanks for joining, everyone.